The Last Guardian. The red warning lights pulsed through Maya Chen's underground bunker, casting eerie shadows across walls lined with monitoring equipment. Another day, another unidentified object entering Outpost 7's atmosphere. But this time was different. The entry trajectory was all wrong for a Krell scout ship. After 15 months of solitude as humanity's last line of defense on this forgotten outpost world, Maya had learned to read the signs. Her fingers flew across the holographic display, tracking the object's descent. Too steep, too fast, no attempt at course correction. Either their systems were completely dead, or the impact shook the entire bunker, rattling Maya's teeth. Close, within 5 kilometers of her position, she grabbed her emergency pack and rifle, muscle memory from years of military training taking over. The bunker's main screen showed the atmospheric readings, no signs of Krell energy signatures. Still, she'd survived this long by being cautious. The airlock cycled with a soft hiss as Maya stepped out into the perpetual twilight of Outpost 7. The planet's binary stars painted the sky in permanent shades of purple and orange, an alien sunset that never ended. Her helmet's heads-up display marked the crash site's direction, and she set off at a steady jog through the rocky terrain. The wreckage came into view gradually, first the long groove carved into the planet's surface, then scattered debris, and finally the main hull of what had once been an elegant research vessel. Maya recognized the design. Araxian, one of the few spacefaring species that still maintained diplomatic relations with Earth. The ship's silver hull was scarred with weapons fire. "Hello," Maya called out over her suit's external speakers, switching through the standard contact frequencies. "This is Human Defense Force Officer Maya Chen. Do you require assistance?" A weak signal crackled through her helmet's comm system, not words, but a pattern of pulses she recognized as a universal distress code. Maya approached carefully, rifle ready but lowered. The ship's emergency hatch had already been blown, leaving a jagged opening in the hull. Inside, emergency lighting cast a pale blue glow over twisted metal and shattered equipment. The air was thin but breathable, according to her suit's sensors. Maya retracted her helmet, letting her dark hair fall free as she moved deeper into the wreck. She found the survivor in what remained of the ship's research bay. The Araxian lay crumpled against a damaged console, their iridescent scales dulled with injury and exhaustion. Maya had never seen one in person before, only in briefing files. They were roughly humanoid, but with elongated limbs and features that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. The Araxian's eyes opened as Maya approached, 3 of them, arranged in a triangle, their pupils contracting to focus on her. "Human," they whispered in accented standard English. "The data must not fall into their hands." "Save your strength," Maya said, already pulling medical supplies from her pack. "I'm going to help you." "No time," the Araxian insisted, their scales rippling with urgency. "I am Zara, xenobiologist of the Araxian Science Academy. The Krell, they are coming." What I discovered, a fit of coughing interrupted them. Maya's hands moved quickly, applying emergency sealant to the worst of Zara's wounds. "The Krell haven't found this outpost yet. You're safe here." Zara's laugh was a musical sound, despite their pain. "Safe. No one is safe. But perhaps that is why I was guided here. To you." The hand reached out, touching Maya's arm with surprising strength. "Will you help me, Maya Chen, even knowing it may mean your death?" Maya looked into those alien eyes and saw something familiar: determination, fear, hope. For 15 months, she'd maintained her lonely vigil, watching the stars for signs of the enemy. Now the universe had dropped an injured alien and a mystery right in her lap. "First, we get you stabilized," Maya said firmly. "Then you can tell me what's so important the Krell would chase a research vessel across 3 sectors to destroy it." As she worked to save Zara's life, Maya's training kept her hands steady, but her mind raced with possibilities. After months of isolation, she'd found more than just a survivor, she'd found a purpose. Whatever secret Zara carried, whatever danger pursued them, Maya knew her duty. Humanity had sworn to stand against the Krell's expansion, to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Even here, on the edge of known space, that promise held true. Maya Chen, the last guardian of Outpost 7, was no longer alone in her watch. And somehow, she knew, that would make all the difference in the battles to come. The binary stars continued their eternal dance overhead as Maya helped Zara from the wreck, supporting the aliens' weight as they made their way toward the bunker. Behind them, the crashed ship's systems finally gave out, emergency lights fading to darkness. But ahead, Maya's bunker beckoned, a fortress of human ingenuity, ready to shelter them both from whatever pursued Zara across the stars. Maya's isolation had ended, but her real test was just beginning. As she helped Zara through the airlock, she couldn't help but smile. After all, humanity had built its reputation on beating impossible odds, and Maya Chen had no intention of breaking that streak. Trust in the darkness. The bunker's medical bay hummed with the soft beep of monitoring equipment as Maya finished connecting the last diagnostic sensor to Zara's iridescent skin. The Araxian researcher lay still on the examination bed, their 3 eyes half-closed but alert, watching Maya's every movement with a mixture of wariness and curiosity. "Your technology is surprisingly compatible," Zara observed, their voice stronger after the emergency treatments Maya had administered. "Most species require significant adaptations to treat Araxian physiology." Maya checked the readings on her medical display. That's because this outpost was designed as a potential diplomatic waypoint before the Krell expansion changed everything. We had to be ready to help anyone who might come through. She adjusted one of the sensor pads, though I never expected to actually use any of it. The constant twilight of the binary stars filtered through the bunker's few reinforced windows, casting purple shadows across the medical equipment. Maya had gotten used to the eternal dusk during her months of isolation, but now it felt appropriate. They were hiding in the shadows after all. "The Krell will track my ship's descent trajectory," Zara said suddenly, their scales shifting in what Maya was beginning to recognize as anxiety. "We should destroy what remains of my vessel before they arrive." Maya shook her head. "Already taken care of. While you were unconscious, I activated the ship's self-destruct sequence. Standard procedure for crashed vessels. Prevents technology from falling into hostile hands." She allowed herself a small smile. 15 months of watching empty skies gives you plenty of time to memorize protocols. Zara's scales rippled with what might have been approval. "You are thorough, Maya Chen. Perhaps that is why I was guided here." The alien scientist tried to sit up but winced in pain. "Easy," Maya said, gently pressing Zara back down. "Those internal injuries need time to heal, even with the accelerated regeneration compounds I administered." She checked another reading. "Which, by the way, are working better than they should. Want to tell me why your body is accepting human medical technology so readily?" The Araxian was quiet for a long moment, their 3 eyes focusing and refocusing as if lost in thought. Finally, Zara spoke. "What I discovered, it changes everything we thought we knew about the Krell. About all of us." Their voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "We are more connected than anyone imagined." Before Maya could ask what that meant, the bunker's perimeter alerts blared to life. She was at the monitoring station in 3 quick strides, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Multiple objects entering high orbit," she reported, tension creeping into her voice. "Energy signatures match known Krell configurations. 3 vessels, destroyer class." "They followed my trail faster than I anticipated," Zara said, struggling again to rise. "Maya, you must help me reach the communications array. The data I carry." The bunker shook as something impacted the surface nearby. Maya's screens filled with warning indicators. The Krell ships were launching probe pods, standard procedure for searching a planet's surface. Each impact would release dozens of autonomous drones, programmed to search and destroy. "Whatever you need to transmit, it'll have to wait," Maya said firmly. This bunker has state-of-the-art stealth systems, but they're not perfect. We need to go deeper. She helped Zara to their feet, supporting the aliens' weight as they made their way to a concealed lift at the back of the medical bay. The Araxian moved better than Maya expected, adapting quickly to their injuries, more evidence that there was something unusual about their biology. The lift descended swiftly into the planet's crust, leaving the twilight behind for the bunker's lower levels. Maya had never been more grateful for humanity's paranoia. Outpost 7 went down nearly a kilometer, with multiple redundant systems and enough supplies to last years. As they reached the lowest level, Zara spoke again. You risk much by helping me, Maya Chen. The Krell do not show mercy to those who oppose them. Maya led them through reinforced corridors to a secure room she'd hoped never to use. Good thing I'm not looking for mercy. She sealed the blast doors behind them. Humanity knew what we were getting into when we refused to bow to their expansion. We'd rather die free than live under their control. The room's walls were lined with backup systems and emergency supplies. Maya helped Zara settle onto a padded bench before activating the room's independent monitoring systems. The screens showed multiple drone signatures moving across the surface, searching in an expanding pattern from the crash site. You speak of freedom, Zara observed, yet you maintain this lonely vigil at the edge of space. Are you not also a prisoner here? Maya checked the bunker's stealth systems, making sure they were operating at peak efficiency. I volunteered for this posting. Someone had to watch this sector, to warn Earth if the Krell pushed this far into human space. She turned to face the alien scientist. But you still haven't told me what was worth risking your life to discover. What kind of data could be so important that the Krell would send destroyers to erase it? Zara's veils shifted through complex patterns, colors rippling beneath their metallic sheen. The Krell are not what they appear to be, Maya Chen. Their entire empire, their supposed biological superiority, it is built on a lie. The alien's three eyes fixed on Maya with an intensity that made her skin prickle. They are not natural evolution, but engineered, and the species that created them, I believe they were human. The revelation hung in the air between them as another impact shook the bunker's upper levels. Maya's mind raced with implications even as her training kept her focused on monitoring the Krell drone's search patterns. If what Zara said was true, it would explain so much. The Krell's ruthless expansion, their obsession with genetic purity, their particular hatred for humanity. How did you discover this? Maya asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the revelation. I was studying ancient genetic markers across species, Zara explained, looking for evidence of common ancestry. What I found instead was evidence of manipulation, sophisticated bioengineering that could only have come from Earth's pre-collapse era. The Krell are the product of human experimentation, created for some purpose lost to history. And now they seek to destroy their creators, along with anyone who might reveal their true origins. Another impact, closer this time. The drones were moving in a more focused pattern now, as if they detected something. Maya checked the stealth systems again, but they were still functioning perfectly. Something else must be drawing them. Your ship's destruction should have eliminated any trail, she said, frowning at the sensor readings. Unless... She turned to Zara. The medical compounds I gave you. They're working so well because you've been modified too, haven't you? Modified to be compatible with human technology. Zara's veils rippled in what might have been embarrassment. A necessary precaution, given my research. But yes, I carry certain genetic markers that the Krell can detect. It is how they tracked me across 3 sectors. The alien scientist's voice carried a note of resignation. Perhaps it would be best if you turned me over to them. Save yourself. Not happening, Maya interrupted. Her voice carried the same steel that had earned her this solitary posting, the determination that had kept her sane during 15 months of isolation. Humanity doesn't abandon allies, especially not ones carrying information that could change the course of the war. She moved to a concealed panel in the room's wall, entering a complex series of commands. hidden machinery hummed to life as sections of the floor began to reconfigure. This bunker has one last surprise: a system for masking genetic signatures. It was designed for hiding large groups of refugees, but it should work for one Araxian scientist. As the machinery worked, Maya allowed herself a grim smile. The Krell had fought to find a wounded alien and a lonely human outpost. Instead, they'd found humanity's stubborn resolve to protect its own, and after Zara's revelation, the alien scientist definitely counted as one of their own. The drones could search all they wanted. Maya Chen had 15 months of practice at hiding from the Krell, and now she had something worth protecting, a secret that could unravel their entire empire. The real question was, how would the Krell react when they realized their quarry had slipped through their fingers? Whatever came next, Maya knew one thing for certain: the lonely vigil of Outpost 7 had just become the front line of a much larger war, and she wouldn't have it any other way. The hidden message. Deep beneath Outpost 7's surface, Maya studied the complex data patterns scrolling across her workstation's holographic display. The genetic sequences Zara had brought were unlike anything she'd seen before, a sophisticated language written in DNA itself. After 6 hours of running the genetic masking systems, the Krell drones had finally moved their search pattern away from the bunker, giving them a chance to examine Zara's discovery in detail. These markers, Maya said, highlighting a recurring pattern in the sequence, they're not random mutations. They're signatures, aren't they? Like a creator's mark. Zara moved closer, their injuries noticeably improved after several hours of regenerative treatment. Yes, human signatures hidden so deeply in the Krell genome that it took decades of research to find them. But once you know what to look for, the alien scientists' scales shifted through shades of blue and silver as they manipulated the holographic display, expanding certain sections of code. See these repeating patterns? They match fragments of human genetic engineering projects from before the collapse. Maya leaned forward, her dark eyes narrowing as she recognized something in the code. Wait, these signatures, they're similar to the verification markers we use in our current genetic authentication systems. Like a blockchain, but written in DNA. She glanced at Zara. That's why you were so certain about the human origin. This isn't just similar to our work, it's our exact methodology. Precisely. Zara's 3 eyes focused and refocused with excitement. The Krell were created as weapons, designed to adapt and evolve rapidly. But their creators built in safeguards, fail-safes, hidden in their very essence. Safeguards they never found because they rejected everything human, Maya finished. Their hatred of humanity made them blind to their own origins. She straightened up, running a hand through her dark hair as indications clicked into place. And these safeguards, they're still active. The bunker's eternal twilight seemed to deepen as Zara's scales rippled with what might have been satisfaction. More than active, they are integral to Krell biology. Every adaptation, every evolution they've achieved over centuries, all of it built on the foundation humans created, and all of it subject to the original command protocols, if one knows how to access them. A distant rumble reminded them of the Krell destroyers still in orbit. Maya checked the sensor readings. The ships had settled into a search pattern, methodically sweeping the planet's surface. They had time, but not much. Show me everything, Maya said, pulling up a secure terminal. If we're going to use this against them, I need to understand exactly how these protocols work. The next few hours passed in a blur of genetic code and ancient documentation. Zara's research was thorough, piecing together fragments of humanity's past achievements with current Krell biology. The picture it painted was both fascinating and terrifying. The Krell were meant to be humanity's guardians, an adaptable defense force that could evolve to meet any threat. Instead, they had turned on their creators, twisting their purpose into something monstrous. Here, Maya said suddenly, highlighting a section of code. This is it, the master verification key. Every Krell adaptation has to validate against this sequence, or their cellular structure begins to break down. It's a perfect backdoor into their entire species. Zara moved closer, but alien features showing clear concern. Yes, but implementing it would require broadcasting the activation sequence on a massive scale. The Krell would detect any such attempt immediately. Maya was already moving to another console, her fingers flying across the holographic controls. Maybe not. This outpost isn't just a listening post, it's part of a network. Before the Krell expansion forced us to go dark, we had access to convoys stretching across 3 sectors. She pulled up a map of local space, showing dozens of dormant relay points. They're still out there, just waiting to be reactivated. The Krell would detect that too, Zara observed. Not if we hide the signal in their own communications. Maya's eyes lit up with a kind of inspiration that came from months of studying enemy patterns. The destroyers up there are constantly sending updates to Krell High Command. Large data packets, heavily encrypted. Perfect cover for piggybacking our own signal. The alien scientists' scales shifted through patterns of surprise and admiration. You would use their own security against them, but accessing their communications requires getting much closer to the surface. The genetic masking won't protect us there. Maya was already gathering equipment from the bunker's storage. No, but the Krell's arrogance will. They're so convinced of their superiority that they never change their basic communications protocols. 15 months of listening to their chatter. She allowed herself a grim smile. Let's just say I've learned a few tricks. The bunker shook again as another flight of probe pods hit the surface. The Krell were expanding their search, frustrated by their quarry's elusiveness. Maya checked her weapon and began assembling portable broadcasting equipment. It's risky, Zara said, but their tone carried approval rather than criticism. If they detect us, they'll throw everything they have at us, Maya finished. Good. That's exactly what we need. Get them so focused on trying to stop the broadcast that they don't realize what we're actually sending until it's too late. She turned to face the alien scientist. But I need to know you're sure about this. Once we activate that failsafe, it will devastate their entire empire, Zara said quietly. Every Krell, everywhere, will be forced to acknowledge their human origins. Their carefully constructed genetic superiority will be revealed as a lie. Many will not survive the psychological shock, let alone the biological restructuring. Maya nodded grimly. A species-wide identity crisis triggered by their own genetic programming. Almost poetic, really. She finished checking her equipment. But it's better than letting them continue their expansion. How many more worlds would they destroy? How many species would they eradicate in their quest to prove their supremacy? The alien scientist's scales rippled with determination. You are right, of course. The Krell's hatred has caused too much suffering already. Zara moved to help Maya with the equipment. What do you need me to do? First, we need to reach the primary communications array near the surface. I'll handle security and signal processing. I need you to prepare the genetic sequence for broadcast. Make sure it's encoded in a way their systems will accept automatically. Maya hefted her pack. Think you can walk that far? Zara straightened up, their movements showing only slight stiffness from their healing injuries. Maya Chen, I crossed 3 sectors with Krell hunters on my trail to bring this data to safety. I will not fail now, not when we are so close to using it. Together, they made their way to the bunker's lift, ready to ascend into danger. As they rose through the layers of humanity's defenses, Maya found herself studying her alien companion. In just hours, they had moved from suspicious allies to partners in what might be the most important mission in recent history. The lift slowed as it approached the upper levels. Soon they would be in range of the Krell's sensors, attempting something that would either save countless species or end in their immediate destruction. Maya checked her weapon one final time, comforted by its familiar weight. Ready? She asked Zara. The alien scientist's scales rippled with a pattern Maya now recognized as determination. Ready. And Maya, thank you, for proving that humanity's reputation for courage is well deserved. Maya smiled as the lift doors opened onto the bunker's main level. Thank me when we've succeeded. Right now, we've got a signal to send and an empire to unravel. Above them, through the bunker's reinforced windows, the binary stars painted the sky in eternal twilight. Somewhere up there, Krell destroyers continued their search, unaware that their quarry was about to turn their own nature against them. Maya Chen, the last guardian of Outpost 7, was finally ready to complete her mission, not just watching the enemy, but striking a blow that could change the course of the war. The real fight was about to begin, breaking through. The communications array stood like a skeletal giant against the purple-orange sky, its dish arrays and transmission spines reaching up toward the Krell destroyers lurking in orbit. Maya led the way through the rubble-strewn corridor connecting the bunker to the array's control center, every sense alert for drone patrols. Behind her, Zara moved with surprising stealth, their scales shifted to match the metallic gray of the surrounding structure. The main control room is 30 meters ahead, Maya whispered, checking the motion tracker on her tactical display. Looks clear, but stay sharp. Krell drones are getting better at masking their signatures. They reached the control room's sealed doors without incident, almost too easily, Maya thought. She'd expected heavier resistance near such a crucial facility. Either the Krell hadn't identified the array's importance, or they're waiting for us, Zara said softly, confirming Maya's suspicions. This is too simple. Maya nodded, already pulling equipment from her pack. Probably, but that doesn't change the plan, just means we need to work faster. She connected her portable computer to the door's control panel, bypassing the standard security protocols. Besides, if they're watching this facility, they're not watching the others. The doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a circular room dominated by holographic displays and communication equipment. Maya moved quickly to the main console while Zara secured the door behind them. The alien scientist's three eyes constantly scanned their surroundings, alert for any threat. Beginning system initialization, Maya reported, her fingers dancing across the controls. Starting with minimal power to avoid detection. Zara, I need that genetic sequence ready to encode as soon as we establish a carrier signal. Zara moved to an adjacent console, their scales rippling with concentration as they worked. The sequence is prepared, but Maya, there's something else you should know. The alien scientist's voice carried a note of hesitation. The failsafe won't just reveal the Krell's origins. It will also restore certain baseline parameters in their genetic code. Maya's hands paused briefly over the controls. What kind of parameters? Their original directives. The core programming that made them protectors rather than conquerors. Zora's scales shifted through complex patterns of uncertainty. Many will resist. The psychological shock alone could drive them to extreme actions. A distant explosion rocked the facility, causing dust to drift down from the ceiling. Maya checked her tactical display, multiple drone signatures converging on their position. Well, they're already driven to extreme actions. At least this way we give them a chance to remember what they were meant to be. She activated the array's primary systems, keeping power levels just below what would trigger immediate detection. The holographic displays came alive with status reports and signal data. Maya's months of studying Krell communications were about to pay off. They're using frequency band 2447 for command traffic, she explained, filtering through the incoming signals. Heavy encryption, but the underlying protocol is based on old Earth military standards. They modified it, but never completely rebuilt it. Another hint of their origins they never noticed. Zara moved closer, watching as Maya's fingers flew across the controls. You can break their encryption. Better. Maya allowed herself a tight smile. I can make our signal look like it's part of their encryption. When their systems decrypt their normal traffic, they'll decrypt our sequence too. Built-in delivery system. Another explosion, closer this time. The tactical display showed drones breaching the facility's outer defenses. They had minutes at most. Encoding sequence now, Zara announced, their own console lighting up with streams of genetic data. But Maya, even with the encryption trick, will need tremendous power to reach all their communication relays. They'll detect that kind of energy spike immediately. Maya was already ahead of them, her mind racing through possibilities. We don't need to maintain the signal for long, just long enough for their first-tier relays to capture and rebroadcast it. After that, she grinned. After that, their own communication network will do the work for us. They'll spread the sequence themselves, trying to figure out what it is. The facility shook again as something heavy impacted the levels above them. Maya's tactical display showed dozens of drones converging on their position, with more dropping from the destroyers in orbit. "They know we're here," Zara observed, their scales shifting to a darker shade. "Good." Maya initiated the final sequence, routing power from the facility's reserved emergency systems. "That means the ships up there are focusing all their attention on us. Too busy trying to stop whatever we're doing to realize they're about to broadcast our signal to their entire fleet." Warning indicators flashed across the displays as the Krell drones reached their level. The reinforced doors would hold for a few minutes at most. Maya's fingers moved faster, making final adjustments to the transmission package. "Zara, I need you to monitor the signal strength. When I give the word, hit the broadcast command. We'll have seconds at most before they realize what's happening and try to shut down their entire network." The alien scientist moved to position, their injuries forgotten in the intensity of the moment. "Ready, Maya, whatever happens." "Save it," Maya interrupted, but her voice was warm. "We're not done yet." The doors began to glow red as the drones attempted to burn through. Maya checked the signal configuration one final time, making sure the genetic sequence was properly embedded in the Krell's command protocols. Everything they discovered, everything they fought for, came down to this moment. "Remember," she said, hands poised over the controls, "we just need to hold them off long enough for the first-tier relays to capture the signal. After that, the Krell's own paranoia will help us. They'll analyze every bit of data that passed through their network, spreading the sequence further with each scan." The doors were beginning to melt. Through the growing gaps, they could see the metallic forms of Krell drones, their weapons charged and ready. "Now or never," Maya said quietly. "Ready?" Zara's scales rippled with determination. "Ready." Maya took a deep breath, 15 months of isolation and preparation culminating in this single moment. Initiating transmission. Now. The room hummed with power as the array came fully online, broadcasting their carefully hidden signal to the Krell destroyers above. At the same moment, the doors finally gave way, and chaos erupted in the control room. Maya's weapon was up and firing before the first drone cleared the threshold. She'd studied their attack patterns for months. They always came in groups of 3, each covering the other's blind spots. But knowing their tactics meant knowing their weaknesses. Beside her, Zara monitored the signal strength, their scales shifting rapidly between colors as they worked. First-tier relays are receiving the transmission. Signal strength at 60%. A drone broke through Maya's covering fire, its energy weapon charging. She dove and rolled, coming up behind a console as the shot superheated the air where she'd been standing. 2 more drones entered, their sensors scanning for targets. 80%, Zara called out. "Maya, they're trying to shut down their network." Too late, Maya growled, popping up to fire at the lead drone's primary sensor cluster. "They're already rebroadcasting. How many relays have captured the signal?" 3, no 5. It's spreading through their command channels. The room filled with acrid smoke as more drones pulled through the ruined doorway. Maya's weapon was running hot, its power cell nearly depleted, but on her tactical display, she could see the signal propagating through the Krell network, spreading faster than they could contain it. "They did it to themselves," she said, almost laughing. "All that superiority, all that hatred of everything human, and they never stopped using the communication protocols we created. Never thought to check what else might be hidden in their own systems." A massive impact rocked the facility. The destroyers were done with precision strikes, moving to level the entire complex. But it didn't matter now. The signal was out, spreading through the Krell Empire at the speed of light, carried by their own obsessive need to control every piece of data in their network. Signal capture complete. Zara announced triumphantly, "Maya, we need to go." Maya fired one last burst at the advancing drones, then turned to run. They had done it. Now they just had to survive long enough to see the results. The control room exploded behind them as they raced for the emergency exit, but Maya Chen was smiling. The last guardian of Outpost 7 had just turned humanity's greatest enemies into the instruments of their own awakening. The real question was, what would the Krell become once they remembered who they were meant to be? The last stand. The facility crumbled around them as Maya and Zara raced through smoke-filled corridors. Above, the Krell destroyers had abandoned precision for raw destructive power, their weapons turning the communications array into molten slag. But their desperation came too late. The signal was already spreading through that empire, a genetic truth that couldn't be bombed out of existence. Maya's tactical display showed chaos erupting in orbit. The destroyer formations were breaking down, their typically precise movements becoming erratic. "It's starting," she said, guiding them through a partially collapsed hallway. "The genetic cascade is affecting their crews first." Zara's scales rippled with intense patterns as they ran. The command ships have the most direct neural links to their communication systems. They would be the first to receive the full sequence. The alien scientist's three eyes narrowed. "But that means..." "The drones are about to lose coherent control," Maya finished. As if confirming her words, they rounded a corner to find three Krell drones smashing themselves against a wall, their coordination completely shattered. "Their command protocols are breaking down. We need to reach the bunker before the destroyer's crews completely lose it." They were halfway to the bunker's entrance when the first destroyer crashed. The massive warship, its crew apparently incapacitated by the genetic revelation, plummeted from orbit in a trail of fire. The impact shook the entire region, sending shockwaves that threatened to collapse the remaining facility structures. "Move!" Maya shouted, pushing Zara ahead as chunks of ceiling crashed down behind them. Her tactical display was going crazy, drones falling from the sky, others firing randomly in all directions, and the remaining destroyers executing increasingly erratic maneuvers in orbit. They reached the bunker's entrance just as another destroyer began its death dive. Maya slammed her hand on the emergency controls, and reinforced doors ground shut behind them. The bunker's structure, built to withstand orbital bombardment, shuddered but held as the second ship hit. "We need to get to the deep shelter," Maya said, already moving toward the lift. The last destroyer. The bunker sensors screamed a warning. The final Krell ship wasn't falling. It was coming in under power, its weapons charged. "They're going to glass the entire site," Zara realized, their scales shifting to a pale, alarmed shade. "One last attempt to bury what we've done." Maya grabbed the alien scientist's arm and ran for the emergency shaft beside the main lift. "They can burn the whole planet if they want. The signal's already out there, spreading through every Krell communication relay in range." She managed a grim smile as they began their descent. "And they'll keep spreading it themselves, desperately trying to figure out how to stop it." The shaft seemed to stretch forever into darkness as they climbed down, the bunker's reinforced walls groaning under the assault from above. Maya's arms burned with effort, but she forced herself to maintain a steady pace. They had to reach the bottom before. A blinding flash penetrated even the armored layers above, followed by a wave of heat that made the entire shaft tremble. The last destroyer had opened fire, systematically destroying everything on the surface. Almost there, Maya grunted, seeing the faint glow of emergency lighting below. They reached the bottom level just as another blast rocked the facility. This deep underground, the impacts felt distant, but Maya knew the destroyer wouldn't stop until it had reduced everything to molten rock. The Deke shelter was a reinforced chamber designed to survive exactly this scenario. Maya sealed the blast doors behind them, then moved to activate the emergency systems. Screens came to life, showing what was happening on the surface, or what remained of it. "They're thorough," Zara observed, watching as the destroyer methodically laid waste to everything above. "But you were right. Look." They pointed to another display, showing long-range communications traffic. The genetic signal was propagating through the Krell network faster than anyone could track it, each relay and command node spreading it further. Maya checked the bunker's structural integrity readings, holding steady despite the assault above. How long before the signal reaches their core worlds? Hours at most. Their own security protocols will ensure it. Zora's scales shifted through complex patterns of anticipation and concern. But Maya, what we've done, we haven't just revealed their origins. We've fundamentally altered their species' path. They altered their own path, Maya countered, but her voice was thoughtful. We just reminded them of who they were meant to be. She moved to another console, bringing up long-range sensors. The question is, how many will survive the revelation, and what will those survivors become? The destroyer above continued its bombardment, but its attacks were becoming less precise, more sporadic. Through the bunker sensors, they could detect erratic power fluctuations in the ship's systems. Its crew was fighting the genetic awakening, trying to complete their mission even as their very nature was being rewritten. The failsafe sequence, Zara explained, watching the destroyer's deteriorating attack pattern, it doesn't just reveal their origins. It reactivates dormant genetic programming, core directives that were meant to make them protectors rather than conquerors. The alien scientist's scales rippled with something like sympathy. Imagine discovering that everything you believed about yourself was a lie, that your very hatred for humanity was a rejection of your own true purpose. Maya nodded grimly. A species-wide identity crisis triggered by their own genetic code. No wonder they're breaking down. She checked another sensor reading. But some will survive it. Some will adapt, just like they were designed to do. And those survivors will remember what they were created to be, Zara finished. Guardians, not destroyers. Protectors of life, not its enemies. Above them, the destroyer's attacks finally ceased. The ship's power readings fluctuated wildly for several minutes before stabilizing at a low level. It hung in orbit like a wounded animal, its crew either incapacitated or transformed by the genetic revelation. "How long should we wait?" Zara asked, their three eyes fixed on the sensor displays. Maya studied the readings carefully. "The bunker has supplies for months. We'll give it at least a week, let the initial chaos play out. By then, we should know if..." She paused as new data scrolled across her screen. "Wait, we're picking up a transmission from the destroyer." The message was brief, broadcasted in the clear, rather than using standard Krell encryption. Maya played it through the bunker's speakers, and a voice spoke, a Krell voice, but unlike any she'd heard before. Gone was the typical tone of superiority and hatred. Instead, it carried notes of confusion, pain, and something else. Wonder. "We remember," the voice said simply. "We remember who we were meant to be, what we have done, what we became." There was a long pause. "We request dialogue. There is much to discuss." Maya and Zara shared a look. This was just the beginning, one ship, one crew facing the truth of their origins. Across Krell space, thousands more were experiencing the same revelation, their carefully constructed identity crumbling in the face of genetic reality. "Well," Maya said, allowing herself a small smile, "I guess this is why they assigned a diplomatic specialist to Outpost 7. She opened a channel to respond. "This is Maya Chen. We're ready to talk." The real work was just beginning. Hope radiated. 1 month after the transmission, Maya stood at the bunker's surface entrance, watching alien workers repair the devastation left by the Krell bombardment. The binary stars painted everything in familiar purple-orange hues, but the scene before her was anything but familiar. Where there had been only isolation and watchfulness for 15 months, now there was activity, purpose, and most surprisingly, cooperation. A Krell engineering team worked alongside Araxian specialists, their movements careful and precise as they rebuilt the communications array. The Krell no longer wore their traditional battle armor, instead adopting simpler environmental suits that revealed their true forms, beings engineered for adaptation and protection, not destruction. Still strange to see them working together, Zara observed, joining Maya at the entrance. The alien scientist's scales rippled with thoughtful patterns. A month ago, those same Krell would have destroyed any Araxian on sight. Maya nodded, her dark eyes tracking the reconstruction effort. Genetic memory is a powerful thing. Once they remembered their original purpose, their entire perspective shifted. She smiled slightly. Though I doubt the designers of the original genetic failsafe ever imagined it would take 3 centuries to activate. Reports from across former Krell space painted a complex picture of transformation. The genetic signal had reached every corner of their empire, triggering widespread chaos as the species confronted its true nature. Many hadn't survived the revelation, their minds unable to reconcile what they had become with what they were meant to be. But those who adapted, who embraced the truth of their origins, were changing in remarkable ways. The latest reports from the Coalition Council arrived, Zara said, their 3 eyes focusing on a distant work crew. 17 more Krell battle groups have requested integration into the protective fleet. They're eager to fulfill their original directive. The universe, she reflected, had a strange sense of irony. The Krell had spent centuries trying to prove their superiority by destroying all traces of humanity. Instead, they had finally achieved their true potential by embracing their human origins. Well, Maya said, checking the latest reconstruction reports, we've got a lot of work ahead of us. Shall we get started? Zara's scales rippled with determination as they moved to join the work crews. The last guardian of Outpost 7 had a new mission now, not just watching and waiting, but building something new from the ashes of old hatred. And somewhere in deep space, coded into the very essence of a transformed species, humanity's greatest achievement lived on: the power to change, to grow, and to protect rather than destroy. The eternal twilight of Outpost 7 had given way to a new dawn. Maya's tactical display showed the broader strategic situation. Across known space, former Krell invasion forces were transforming into protection units, their vast military infrastructure being repurposed to defend the very species they had once sought to destroy. The great lie of their superiority had been replaced by the truth of their purpose. And the resistance groups? Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. Some Krell refused to accept the revelation, fighting against their own genetic programming in a desperate attempt to maintain their former identity. Diminishing, Zara confirmed. The genetic cascade affects them whether they accept it or not. Each passing day, more remember who they were meant to be. The alien scientists' scales shifted to a more serious pattern. Though the Coalition's psychiatrists warn that the trauma may take generations to fully heal. A massive shadow passed overhead, one of the transformed Krell destroyers, now serving as a protection vessel. Its weapons had been modified, its systems recalibrated to defend rather than destroy. The ship's crew had been among the first to fully embrace their restored purpose, eagerly sharing their combat expertise to help other species defend themselves. They're adapting faster than anyone expected, Maya noted, watching the destroyer take up a patrol position. All that drive for perfection, all that engineered capacity for evolution, it's finally being used the way it was intended. To protect, not dominate, Zara agreed, though some in the Coalition still argue he went too far, forcing an entire species to confront its true nature, to experience such a fundamental change. They forced our hand, Maya said firmly. Their expansion would have destroyed countless more species. At least this way, she gestured at the cooperative work crews. This way, they have a chance to become something better, something true to their original purpose. Their conversation was interrupted by a priority alert from the bunker's communications system. Maya pulled up the message on her tactical display, her expression growing serious as she read. "The Coalition Council has approved the Joint Protection Initiative," she announced. "They're officially recognizing the transformed Krell as guardians rather than enemies. Full integration into defensive operations, sharing of military technology." She looked at Zara. "They're really doing it. Building the future we hoped for." The alien scientist's scales rippled with satisfaction. The Krell were created to be humanity's guardians, protectors of life throughout known space. Now, after centuries of corruption, they're finally fulfilling that role. Zara's 3 eyes focused on Maya. "Thanks to you." "Thanks to us," Maya corrected. "I just helped deliver the message. You're the one who discovered the truth." She smiled. "Though I have to admit, when I volunteered for this posting, I never imagined it would end like this." End. Zara's scales shifted to a pattern Maya had learned to recognize as amusement. "This is just the beginning. The Coalition wants us to help guide the integration process. Who better to bridge the gap between humans and Krell than the ones who help them remember their true nature?" Maya considered this as she watched another work crew begin repairs on the bunker's external sensors. Her 15 months of isolation had prepared her for this moment in ways she'd never expected. She understood both the watchfulness required to protect and the patience needed to wait for the right moment to act. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "Outpost 7 was originally designed as a diplomatic waypoint. Maybe it's time it served that purpose again." She turned to face her friend and colleague. "Want to help me transform this bunker into something new?" Zara's scales rippled with enthusiasm. "A center for cooperation and healing, where former enemies can learn to work together." The alien scientist gestured at the mixed work crews. "I'd say we've already started." Above them, the binary stars continued their eternal dance, casting their unique light over a landscape being transformed by cooperation rather than conflict. Maya Chen, once the lonely guardian of a forgotten outpost, now stood at the center of a much greater mission, helping humanity's former enemies remember how to be its protectors.